What's up YouTube? Musty Hobbit here, and I was recently tagged in a video by Church from the Game Grinder. You can check out his video in the description below, but he recently done a video talking about his top 5 nostalgic games, and as part of the tag asked me to do my own, which is why you're here. So thank you, Church, for including me here. I will be tagging a few people myself when we get to the end of this whole thing. This was kind of a difficult process for me because I have a very varied history when it comes to games. So the games, and I will say 5-ish because I do have one that is a series and not just a single game. But I will go for it here. The first game on that list for me is Blades of Steel. This is one of the few NES games that I actually owned and not just rented or borrowed from friends. It is one of my favorite games for the NES, and it actually is the first time I ever had a controller throwing moment was to Blades of Steel. In the game you can do a tournament. Instead of just playing a single game, you can simulate I believe it's a bracket of 8 and play up to the championship. And I had played on Pro to finally get to the last game, the championship game. And I was tied going into the last couple minutes of the third period, and with less than a minute to go, the other team scored, and I think I was a little bit shocked. But what the game does is after you proceed to lose, it kicks you back to the menu screen right away, and that was pretty infuriating to me. I really didn't have an opportunity to really do or say anything or even take a picture. It was just all of a sudden, boom, done. And I know that I was pretty unhappy when it came to that. Blades of Steel, I would say, is one of my top 5. So again, I'm not going to go in any order with these. These all have some sentimental value to me for one reason or another. The next one is also on the NES. It happens to also be a Konami game. But it is Life Force, and this is a side-scrolling and vertically scrolling shooter, much in the vein of a Gradius, or Gradius is probably the most commonly known of that style, especially on the NES. This game, though, I recall playing this game a lot. I had a friend named Steve, and I would go over to his house after school, and he had a much larger library than I had. He introduced me to a number of systems that I ended up, I think he's some of the reason why I ended up going the Genesis route after I got done with my NES. But we played a lot of games, and a lot of them were Konami titles: Jackal, Life Force, Contra. These were all games that we would play because they all had really good 2-player modes. But we played through Life Force a lot, and the music, the bosses, this game has some pretty off-the-wall looking things, and it just kind of sticks with me. It is by far one of my favorite games on the NES, and one that has a lot of nostalgia to me. Definitely brings me back whenever I get the chance to play it. And I believe that this was the first game that I ever used the Contra code for, or the Konami code, or however you want to call it. But Life Force, check it out if you haven't already. The next one, again, this is the one that I said I'm going to do a series on. So in the early 2000s, Guitar Hero wasn't yet a thing. Harmonix was just kind of getting some traction at that point. And one of the first games that they put out was Frequency, which is a rhythm game based more around hip-hop and trance music, and I sunk so many hours introduced so many friends to this, and to the point where when the sequel came out, Amplitude, we were having regular high score competitions within my apartment, and you know, we were always trying to one up each other, to the point where we were just extremely good with the, you know, triggers, and this again was the precursor to Guitar Hero, so there was a very similar sort of pattern to it. Really bring me back to that early 20s age for myself. So yeah, Frequency, Amplitude, absolutely love them. The next one, and I'm debating which one of these to show you next. Let's go with the one that you guys probably aren't as big a fan of. I've talked about my fascination with Final Fantasy a few times, probably getting tired of it. But for me, the one game that sticks out in that series more than any other is one that I don't think gets enough recognition, and I think it's because some people disagree with certain aspects of the game itself. So that is Final Fantasy VIII. This game came out in 1999. I had, I was 17 going on 18, and I was at a point in my life where I was dealing with a lot of high school things, relationships, dealing with friends sort of leaving and coming back, and those sorts of things. So I spent a lot of time playing this game, and I really identify with Squall. Not so much that I was moody or brooding, but I got it. I think I understood a lot of what he was going through, and it kind of helped me deal with some things that were going on in my life at that time. So my first playthrough of this was mostly over at my friend Chris's house, and I remember we would, especially with the GF system, I always really enjoyed not only getting all of them, but then powering them up and using the boost, and, you know, even firing up Eden and just watching that cutscene play was so much fun, and the music is fantastic, and I think this game doesn't get enough credit, and I think if you look at it in, you know, don't put it up against 6 or 7, for some people 9, or, you know, for more recently there are a lot of people who hold 10 in very high regard, but I feel like this game is misunderstood. For me, it holds a very, yeah, like I said, I have a soft spot in my heart for this game, and I really enjoy playing through it, and I've, you know, tried everything I can to junction as much high-powered magic as possible, you know, and there are still ways to play this game that I haven't sunk into, but that I plan to at some point. So I have one game left, and this game was initially, so this is also the newest game of the games that I've mentioned. This one came out in 2007, is for the Xbox 360, and this game kind of launched, it was a brand new franchise. It was one that we'd seen a lot of shifting when it came to what this game was going to be, up until the point when it launched. We've seen a lot of weird kind of iterations, and if you go back now and look at some of the concept videos and trailers and things like that, it's kind of amazing what this game has become. Now, the copy of this that I have was not my launch title. I did pick up this game initially when it first came out, then I had traded it in because that's what I was doing when I was, you know, 10 years ago when I was looking at that sort of thing. But I went back and got the Platinum Hits version because it did have the DLC on disc, so I have that. So the game is Mass Effect, and this game sets a universe so well and it is so compelling that this is one of those games where I don't have a problem digging into that lore. There is a book that sort of sets up this one, and then there's the continuing saga. You know, we're getting Andromeda at some point in the next year or two, and I'm really looking forward to that. But this launched one of, I think, the better trilogies of games that have really ever been released. This game in particular, and the last 90 minutes of this game plays out like a action space drama movie, better than anything that I had seen for, you know, from 1999 until you know, more recently. It feels almost perfect to me, and I know that some people prefer 2 over 1, or even over 3. I like a lot of the role-playing aspects. I don't mind the Mako. A lot of people give the Mako a bad rap, but I honestly had a lot of fun at the time, being kind of a completionist and really kind of scouring every single inch of every single planet that I could. And they took that away from us, and that was kind of a bummer. But this game, and what this game really did for the conversation tree, you know, it took a lot of hints from Knights of the Old Republic, and then it passed on a lot of things to series like Dragon Age, and it is fantastic, and I would recommend this to anybody. And I am trying to push to hopefully get this as a Cartridge Club game sometime in the future. But I am a major fan of Mass Effect, and I will always be and always go back. That first game, I need to play through it on Insanity, and that's one thing that I have yet to do. So, so that is my 5-ish nostalgic games. Again, I want to thank Church for tagging me, giving me the opportunity to do something like this. I would like to tag a few people as well. So let's start with Ramvox. Let's go both Mighty Q Dog and Mrs. Q Dog. I want to hear from both of you. Let's do Canadian Retro. And let's go with Buried on Mars and Kyle from Game Time with Kyle. So the 5 or 6 of you, I am interested to hear your top 5 nostalgic games. So I will link to all of the channels for those individuals below. Please take a look at what they have. They're all great people, and they all put out a lot of fun content. So definitely check them out, and go check out Church from the Game Grinder. Again, I will leave a link to his channel as well. Thank you again for including me here. So anyways, yeah, for those of you who even are interested in just letting me know, tell me a game or two that holds a lot of nostalgia for you, that you have sort of that continuing desire and feeling, and it just kind of brings you back. Go ahead and leave those comments in the comments section below. Again, feel free to like the video, and if you are not a subscriber already, if you come to me by some other means, please feel free to stick around. I have got more on the way, but I do enjoy talking about these games that I have, you know, such fond memories of. So thanks again. I have been Musty. Take care of yourself and be good to each other. Bye.